You ready for this? Who live is us? Who lit is this? Who real is us? We too legit. We are M-A-R-K-T-H-R-U. Mark Thru podcast. Listen and learn. Watch and observe. Challenging us. They got some nerve. Be great. You mad? Don't hate. Get to it. Don't wait. We do not hesitate. We doing what it takes. What we do. Mark Thru.
And when we were at SAM, like, we had people on our team that would toss around the N-word like it was nothing. Mm-hmm. And it was like, God. It was a big thing at one point, and we like had team conversations about it, and we were just like,
good.
If you know, it's not being said by anyone, and he's like, that's why you don't hear me say it. Like, I don't even say it because I don't want someone else to think it's okay to say around me, just because I'm using it, you know, even though like I am of color and.
Because just by one use of it, it can signify like you're good to go, and it's like, no, that's not true. You're not good. Yeah. No, I don't know why you connected those, but
I have conversations like that with people all the time. Mm-hmm. Even people like obviously that are of color that say the N-word all the time, and they're like, DQ, why? I'm like, what do you have against it, bro? I'm like, I don't have to say it to get my point across.
You get to choose your language, and you're choosing to use specific language that's not meant to tear yourself down, your spouse, your son, your family. Yeah.
It's not comparable, but it makes me think of it being the same thing as cussing. I don't need to drop the F-bomb to get my point across to my kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can still say things a certain way and your message is heard.
We'll get started. Yeah, so we had said last episode, in episode 10, that this would be our Bring It On episode. We watched it, and we took our notes, and then the world was like, hey, there's a problem, and we all need to talk about it right now. And so we said, you're right, we're not going to talk about Bring It On, which actually has some really bad, stale jokes in terms of racism and homophobia. And so that was intriguing to us to rewatch it now, because that came out in 2001. So it's not like this is like 90s or 80s where you can kind of let history lean on it and get away with it.
Parts of it did not age well, but parts of it were very honest. Mm-hmm. So it was weird. It was weird watching it.
So that'll come in a later episode, all our notes. But we just wanted to...
It was weird.
It just felt wrong to ignore this cultural shift that's happening where... eyes are opening, people are finally listening and saying Black lives do matter. People are saying we cannot ignore these minor infractions of racism, massive incidents of racism, whatever they are, small scale, large scale, institutionalized, casual, they just can't exist if we want as a society to grow and evolve. I mean, and that's what our parents and our grandparents have always wanted in general. We wanted faster cars, we wanted travel by planes, we all have iPhones. Like, that's all great, but we're all just gonna keep bickering and fighting if we can't see eye to eye as freaking human beings. It's infuriating. So we're here to talk about it. We have Alicia and DeQuane here. And you need to give John some grief. I saved your number and he didn't have the Q capitalized. So when I type this, you got to give John some grief. That's what I was like, okay, maybe just picked up the nickname, but I was like, I think it's capitalized and John goofed.
It is definitely capitalized. I told you before.
Oh, we're going to get him. We're going to get on him about that. That's just rude.
Exactly. So we're here.
Well, we were going to have DQ and Gigi on anyways for NCAA College Nationals.
Yes.
But that got canceled. So it's
Coronavirus.
It's not like we were like, oh, who are the first two people we can think of to talk about Black Lives Matter? Like, no, these are our friends. Yeah. But I also think this is a really good time for everything to be canceled and for this to really surface in the country. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I do feel like there's a reason this is all happening like right now.
Yeah, most definitely.
While everything's calmed down.
I think everybody has a lot more time on their hands to listen.
Yes.
To finally listen.
Yeah.
So because people are at home, people got through their Netflix queue. They watched all the things they needed to watch, and they're like, okay, what's going on in the world? And people started talking about it. So I think that allowed for it, and then with the unemployment, people are able to get out in the streets.
Yeah.
People already don't have jobs. They're not worried about losing their health insurance.
Yeah.
They lost it 2 months ago.
Exactly. Now it's time to make a change. Make a difference.
Yeah. I just hate how many people have to lose their lives for it to be talked about again.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hear about Breonna Taylor, and she died 2 months ago. And I just heard about it last week. And so I did a deep dive into the internet of like, who is this girl? What happened? Let me hear all these things. And the only thing that I could come up with time after time after time was it was unjust. Like, it just was wrong. It was just wrong.
Mm-hmm. And those cops, it's still wrong because those cops aren't in jail.
No, not at all.
So people need to stay loud. We need to stay loud.
Yep. So we're here, but wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about yourself and your cheer credentials for a moment. You know, where you've cheered, where you've coached, what you guys do now.
Ladies first.
Okay. I'm Gigi. I have cheered since I was 6. I'm from Colorado, and I went to Columbine High School, and then from there I went to Iowa Western Community College. Cheered there on a scholarship. It was my first time ever doing co-ed cheer. I was always all girls, so it was a huge change. And then from there, I studied criminal justice and graduated with my associate's degree. And then I went to Sam Houston, where I met DQ. And there I finished my degree, criminal justice, and then I actually stayed for another year and did sociology. Okay. So I graduated with 2 degrees, and I cheered on all-girl my first 2 years there, co-ed my last half of a year, before we got pregnant with Cam. And then we moved back to Colorado, and I'm currently coaching at Chaparral High School.
Oh, that's awesome.
My name is DQ. I started cheering in college. I am from Texas, so I grew up in Beaumont, and there's a hometown college called Lamar University. Cheered there for 2 years.
Okay, so you cheered okay.
So after that, I started to actually gain more skills than I thought I would. Saw that I was a lot better than what I thought I was.
Right,
so,
it's that weird turn point.
Yeah. So
I'm decent at this.
Yeah, once I figured that out, and same year I tried out that same exact. So I tried out in the spring. Tried out in spring, which is they were getting ready to go to nationals. I couldn't obviously participate, so I tried out, made the team, and then once everyone came back, they were like, "Hey, you should do UCA staff." It's like, okay, what's that? Got into it, and
Isn't that how we all? Okay, what is that?
So I got into UCA staff and met some incredible people, John Chabret, obviously, and Tanner, and a lot more others. They taught me how to stunt, and then from there, let me go somewhere else where I can actually challenge myself. So I ended up going to Sam Houston.
There's nothing wrong with that, wanting to challenge yourself. That's great. Personal growth.
Then I went to Sam. Was looking into other schools, but I saw that was probably going to be the place that I wanted to.
It's near home.
It's near home, and the family is just amazing there. I love being there. But cheered there for 2 years, and obviously met Gigi over here, Alicia. I don't call her Gigi.
Isn't that funny? Work and don't work.
But
so when you're in trouble, it's Alicia.
Oh yeah.
Or actually just all the time.
It's all the time.
Funny.
I call her Gigi when she's in trouble.
Yeah. Okay, Gigi. I'm like,
I love that.
But yeah, we ended up moving out here and got in contact with John, who was also from Texas, and he was doing his own little thing, and asked me to be a part of it, and that helped me grow into my own business with Beast, which has been an elite athletic strength training, and we go around and work on strength and conditioning with different high schools in the area. So
and he works with our high school now, so that's really awesome.
And then that's how we met you guys, through John, and through coaching in the area.
Well, I feel like we really met them through our mutual friend Taya, because when they
they
coached
with
coached with Taya, and so that was, and it was so funny how Taya introduced you guys, because Taya'd be like, okay, so these are my new co-coaches, they're better than I am, so they should be the head coach, but anyways, they're here helping.
There's Taya. I haven't talked to her in a while.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
She's
human.
a great human.
Yeah.
I recruited her out of high school from here.
Old guy over here.
Really?
Wow.
What?
That's
awesome.
So you coached Taya for 1 year? Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy to hear about who are coaches now and we're coached by still current coaches. I'm like, this is crazy.
And I'm so scared for that, for me, for like when we have kids graduating and they coming out of college and you see them coaching, I'm going to be like, I hope I instilled some good things in you. Like, please don't just be a yelling coach. You know what I mean? It's like kind of a,
Yeah.
hope that that's all good.
Oh man, yeah. And then now you guys, so like you guys mentioned, you guys are parents as well as we are. So our babies are 2 weeks apart, which is
Literally 2 weeks.
fun for all of us.
We were both so pregnant at camp
So
last year. Like both of
pregnant.
us are like waddling around. Like so funny.
So now they're playing in the basement.
Yeah.
And so they're down there, and so I think that as also was an awesome reason to make this episode happen and bring up all of this subject matter, because our kids are going to grow up together. They're going to grow up in this world. Just really wanted to just do this, so thank you guys for coming here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us.
And
Of course.
talking with us, educating us, and educating all our listeners, because there's coaches out there, athletes that are listening, so hopefully some of the topics that we can touch on can at least guide people to make adjustments in their actions, in their thoughts, and just the ways they interact with the world.
Yeah, a lot of athletes confide a lot in their coaches. Sometimes that's their safe place and who they reach out to later on when they're in college about certain things. So I think that we have very, very huge impacts on our athletes, and
Totally.
that's a lot of where change can happen.
And that's why we need good leadership. I just go back to leadership all the time, because we see a lot of poor leadership in just the world in general. And so it's like, I just don't think leadership is hard, but
Well, and sometimes I think when people do run into a wall with leadership, like sometimes taking a step back and asking for help, like even if you are the leader, going to someone, you don't have to go to the news and say, I'm an idiot, please help me, I don't know what's wrong. But going to a trusted person, a friend, somebody you've interacted with before, and saying, how can we broach this, how can we push this forward, how can I learn from this and do right by, if it's the president of a company, my employees, my customers, and all those things. So
so
No,
that
I
was
think the podcast is a great idea.
I do.
Honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, yeah, it's
We're
fun.
we're trying, man. It's so hard with a little one to
We'd love to
constantly do
more.
it, because we were just saying before George Floyd was murdered, we were like, oh my gosh, we have all this time to get out all these episodes, and we still were not able to get out the episodes that we wanted to get out. But like things kept happening, like rules were changing, more cheerleading events were getting canceled, and then with George Floyd being murdered, we were like, nothing matters.
Yeah.
This is what matters
to
right
talk
now,
about
and
it.
we
Yeah.
need to make sure everybody is getting on the same page with this.
Totally.
So,
Okay, so diving in, touching back to what I was talking about, we're all parents now. So I know when you found out you were having a son, just thinking back to the Facebook post you made, I know you mentioned you were excited and nervous and fearful. Obviously, I'm sure those feelings are still the same, because the world is still the same.
Most definitely.
But, if you wouldn't mind, could you share a little bit of those thoughts of, being a new dad, a new black dad to a black son, if you don't mind?
No, yeah, for sure. Honestly, it's just growing up where I'm from in Texas. There's a lot of negative things that go on with people of color, and I've experienced so much growing up. It may be small, maybe big. It's just experiencing that as a kid is not something that you can take lightly. Like you can't experience walking by someone and physically watching them clench their purse and not think that you're a threat. And it's hard, because a lot of my friends were white, were Asian, were Mexican, Hispanic, I had different biracial friends, but with those friends, they didn't experience the same thing I experienced, or they didn't have to go through the same thing I went through. I have plenty of cousins and uncles that have experienced so many negative things in their life. Living in Orange, Texas, which is 30 minutes away from Beaumont, watching them grow up and watching them be put in jail, or wrongfully accused of stealing something, or whatever the case is. Watching them and their lives get demolished, really. Just based off of something that can be avoided, which is solely based on their skin.
Exactly.
You can't judge someone just because they're black. It's there's no reason to. My heart is the same as your heart. I'm a very emotional person, and I'm the type of person that I'm not going to come at you in a negative way. If I have something against you, or if I have something that I have to say, I'm going to be as positive as I can to make sure that I'm not making you feel bad. You know, I want you to feel upset. So that's just me and the way I grew up. Like, I feel like I've always had to do that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I never wanted to offend anyone or say the wrong thing and, you know, be accused of, you know, being violent or a threat, or, you know, someone looking at me and thinking that I'm going to attack their life, or whatever the case is, you know. But just having a son and going through what I went through, I just told myself I can't sit back and let my son grow up and experience the same things that I experienced in my life. You know, I don't want him to walk the street with his friends or walk to the gas station and see a cop rolling through and have to immediately think, okay, what do I do? Am I going to run? Am I going to walk into the gas station? Am I going to just stay right here? Like, I don't want him to have to second guess anything just because of the fact that he's black.
Keep walking with your friends.
You know, just keep walking with your friends.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard, you know, hard to stay away from that. So I told myself, like, you know, when I moved to Beaumont that, when I got older, obviously. But I told myself when I was in Beaumont that I wasn't going to let that affect me. I wasn't going to let that, you know, change who I am. I molded who I was based off of, you know, all the experiences that I had. But I had an amazing stepmom that she was, we say Cajun down in Texas. She's French and Indian and white. She has a lot of everything in her. She's very well-spoken, very well-spoken, very, very knowledgeable, very understanding woman. She always taught me to, you know, hold yourself to a higher standard. Don't let anyone bring you down. You know, whether that's speaking correctly or whether that's, you know, making sure you're not, you know, using slang words that people are like, oh, well, you know, you talk like you're from the hood, or you talk like, you know. So I molded my mind to sound more acceptable, but you shouldn't have to do that. You know, you shouldn't have to.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have to do that. And you know, I just being a dad, I wouldn't want my son to grow up and say, okay, well, I can't talk like this, or I can't wear these clothes, or I can't wear red, I can't wear blue, I can't wear all black with a hood and, you know, expect not to be stopped. I don't want him to have to experience that. And, you know, that's fearful for me because I've been through it.
Yeah.
Family members have been through it. Parents have been through it. You know, they've experienced that life. And I just don't want to continue to live in fear, raising a son and thinking that, you know, if I'm at home at work or he's walking home from school, there's a chance of him being pulled over or being shot or being whatever the case is. Definitely, like I said, it's scary for sure, but my post was meant to obviously state how I felt and let people know that I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that doesn't happen. You know, and I know one person can't do that, but with the position that I'm in, to be able to work with multiple athletes at multiple high schools, that allows me to impact lives and teach them and educate them in the right way to where they're going to be the ones that are ruling this earth one day. They're going to be the ones in control. So why not make them understand that, you know, it's all about equality. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you come from. We want to make sure that everyone gets treated the right way. So if we teach that and instill that in our kids now, then, you know, we can only...
This world's going to be a better place.
Yes, yeah, it's
I've never been more motivated to vote.
Yeah. Well, like,
that too.
Yeah.
right, voting, it's huge because, it's...
I'm going
our
to
government's
study.
in a
I'm going to do an
weird
insane
position
amount
now.
of research. Like, I am so ready to rock the vote, especially locally.
And I think on the other side, that's not talked about as much, of the other side of the voting thing is getting involved. Like there's a gal I've interacted with on LinkedIn. She's a few years younger than me, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm on the city commission in Parker."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Okay, go you." Go you. Like, that's
awesome.
cool. You know, like I don't know if she's from Parker, you know, and like if she has connection, I don't care. But she was like, "I'm gonna step in, and I'm gonna at least try. I'm gonna put myself in a place where even if there is a bunch of old people that are running a board or something, like I'm gonna at least be the squeaky wheel, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil."
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's a big part of these protests right now, the protests of the 60s with the civil rights movement. You have to make noise, you know, and just like you're saying, we have to bring the awareness to this.
Yeah.
And now to Mom, thoughts on this world for your baby?
I get emotional too. I'm an emotional
For
person.
sure, for sure.
We're moms. We're emotional now. I swear.
Did you watch the Sesame? Sorry to interrupt your thought process, but did you guys watch the Sesame thing, the Standing Up to Racism special?
I don't think
No,
so.
I didn't.
It's on YouTube,
Okay.
and so it's they're like putting it up. I think it's like 40 minutes or something. But it started off so well, and they showed a clip of the protests and stuff, and then it showed Elmo, and he's talking to his dad. He's like, "Why are all those people outside?" And it just was Elmo and his dad talking about it. And
We were both like tearing up
we
the
were,
whole
like,
time. It was
just,
really,
like-
it was really well done.
It was Sesame Street always wins.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
always win.
Exactly,
So,
always.
It's so good. So
It's nice
wholesome.
to see it. Yeah, it's nice to see that.
And all different platforms,
Yeah.
I think I get, I'm a firecracker. So he's a lot more calm and good word choice than I am. We grew up completely different families, backgrounds, and I'm a little bit more on the side of it's getting that that support from family, and I think being a mom, it's different now. It's a lot more touchy. Not that it wasn't beforehand, before having Cam, but seeing him and looking at him, I'm always like, I want you to stay small. I want to be able to protect you.
Yeah.
And we can't always do that as they grow up. So it's hard. It's hard to have your eyes open and see the way people think, see the way they live their lives, see the way that they're teaching their younger generation or
not teaching
at
Yeah.
all. And so I think that's really hard. That has been a hard pill for me to swallow this past 2 weeks. And I'm a very firm person of, if I'm not supported in that way or my family's not supported in that way, I don't want my family around certain people. And that's just been more of where I've been on that standpoint. I've been emotional on that side just because it's been hard. It's been hard to see that and accept it. And we were talking, and he's like, don't let these people get to you. Like, it's okay. We're using our voice. We're doing what we need to do for our son. And as that is correct, I'm still like, we need to have these people understand and call them out when they are being racist, or when they are using the N-word, or just not
just
using
watching
their
it
voice
go
at
by
all.
anymore.
Yeah, and
just staying silent.
And it was a struggle for me too, to be on social media and see people who tweet or post on Facebook or Instagram every single day and complain about other issues in their life, and then they're completely silent when something like this happens. And silence speaks volumes. It's very loud. And so to see that was really, really hard. And I did call people on their stuff, because I'm like, we need to.
Good for you.
We need it. We need voices, and you're gonna feel uncomfortable, but you have to be okay with being uncomfortable.
I love that you told me that, because I've probably said this already, but like, you just telling me it's okay to be uncomfortable made me feel okay with the conversations I've had with patients all week, because for the most part, you can tell what kind of people, or maybe what type of people, don't want to talk about this. They want things to stay positive, and it's too negative right now, and I just can't think about it. And it's like,
I want to be the light.
Like,
right now.
It's
like,
so convenient for you to just be able to not think about that.
Yes.
And it's like that is the issue. It's
Yes.
like, you're just like,
That's the
just-
privilege
exactly.
right there.
and so the only thing I can think of to help is to educate, and I'm still learning. So I feel like I'm listening to so many podcasts this week. I'm looking at books to make sure that I'm having those uncomfortable conversations with her, because Cam's going to be one of her best friends growing up.
For
I
sure.
mean, like,
Most
we're all
definitely.
very close, and I love the friend group we have out here in Colorado. And so I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
The books are important. I've actually seen a lot of moms lately post on Instagram, like, these are books you can get. They're posting what they talk about. And my sister actually sent us a book for Cam that I was really, really happy about. And She has a mixed family as well. My brother-in-law's black, and they have the cutest baby boy.
The name of the book and the author or
I
anything?
No, I don't do
Okay,
that.
we'll get it.
I have a picture of it on my phone.
I was gonna say we can share that so that way more people can.
I think it's like
their
Ask
kids
Around or something like that.
Yeah, you can look it up if you have it. That's fine.
But I was really excited about that, and I'm excited to see that people are posting those and sharing those.
Me too.
Just ask.
Just
it's called
ask.
Just Ask. Be different. Be brave. Be you. So we're
Awesome.
excited. Yeah, we're excited about that.
And you've already read it and you liked the message and
we haven't. We actually just got it
perfect.
yesterday in the mail. So
awesome.
We're like, okay, we're excited to have my sister is the mom. Like, she has all the new things. She is on top of it.
She's the
mom.
mom.
She is. So I'm like not surprised at all of that. And I was talking to her too. I was like, I want to get these books for Cam that I've been seeing, and we actually were talking about a website because I was like trying to order it and it was difficult. I was like, where can I find this exact book?
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was nice to see moms sharing, and wanting to help.
Knowledge is power, man.
Yes.
Like those diversity books you're talking about, like one of them is like her story instead of history. And so it's all these women that broke the mold to change our world for what it is right now. And so I have a little feminist set. I have a little the her story that was from Taya, and then another one that is bad girls throughout history. It's 100 women who changed the world. And so I love going through those and letting Murphy pick one, and like she listens for 30 seconds.
Right.
But it's also educating me.
Yeah, because we've probably only heard about a third of those just based on history, Marie Curie and Amelia Earhart. So,
Right, but you don't get to hear like the full story of like Madam C.J. Walker or the full story of Harriet Tubman or like
TV series?
yes, it was
really
incredible,
good.
and it was so eye-opening for me again because I can go to the grocery store and get whatever hair products I need for myself and my hair will look fabulous. I did not realize how hard that was for Black women and how she kind of
to just even have a product.
She
Not even
changed the
touching
game.
on
She might have used the
hair.
same product as another woman, but she marketed as like just top-notch marketing. she changed
amazing.
the game. So
'Cause I think at the root of it, she understood how hair can affect you in terms of your self-esteem, and so she wasn't just going after those few women in the story that had money. She went after her people, the people that were in her village,
and she empowered more women. It was
she
so
didn't
great.
just go to the people that had the money. The empowerment, and so
I binged that in probably a night. It was another quarantine night. I saw it pop up.
I was like
and
cooking
I was like,
dinner. I was like, wait, let me. She was like, no, you got to catch up later.
It was so well done, and just like I've heard of Madam C.J. Walker, but knowing her story and then like her daughter in this story came out as gay, and it just so many different things that you're like, wow, this is great. This was just all really good things, really good things.
I mean, I've went through schooling and stuff, and you hear about Henry Ford, and you hear about all of these great business people. They didn't say her name once in 16 years of school, and it's like,
huge.
and I mean, same thing. I guess it's an anniversary, but it's a terrible anniversary. Black Wall Street in Tulsa. That was last week. The history of that was never taught to us.
I just learned about that last
So
week.
you taught about it in school,
wasn't.
and I was saying you were just by Oklahoma. We were in Kansas above it. But go ahead.
In our books, like just remembering back in school, Black history was only one chapter. Like, and
it's like we're in the 1960s.
Exactly.
Let's talk about it. All right, we're done talking about it.
Hardly talked about slavery. Hardly talked about anything that the accomplishments that so many Black people have achieved. Like it could let's say you separated the chapters into I don't know, automobiles. Well, who made the stoplight? You know what I'm saying? Like so like that could have easily been involved in that story, so people can know that Black people did create things that helped this world move in the way that it's moved to. But
and it's like totally on that same note, because we hear all the time Eisenhower helped form the interstate system, after the war or whatever. That's a random Scott fact, but but like that, I remember that from school, like being brought up, in like 8th grade and then like 11th grade, because you kind of like relearn it a few times over. But why isn't that mentioned when we're talking transportation? We're talking development of cities. How did New York grow to be this massive city? I think just thinking back as a kid, just remember asking my mom, like, so why did we only learn about like America in 1600? Like, what else was happening in the rest of the world besides with America and England? It's like,
Speaking,
and we don't get that, and it could be so much broader for all cultures, but specifically it's leaned against Black culture to hide it, to cover it up. I mean, I just don't see how these people who write these books are just like, let's skip it. We don't need it.
That's true.
And
But
it's like,
being a kid back then,
because it's uncomfortable.
I never,
that's true.
just looking, I guess I was so used to everything that I was experiencing. I didn't even
that's
think
terrible.
twice about it. I didn't even, African American history, we have that in here. Thinking back on it now, I've never second guessed it. I've never thought twice about it until I graduated high school, got into college, and was able to learn more and, expand my mind and my knowledge. But
Knowledge is power.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that even as kids, you don't think about it. Like, you don't think it's wrong until you have someone that either tells you that it's wrong, and you start to open your eyes and see. But I was always, I feel like, kept down. Maybe not like someone just physically keeping me down, but I was always looked at as like a threat. But I didn't really notice that until I started to get older. I saw that my white friends could do this and I couldn't do this. I saw that my white friends can go here and I couldn't go here, and it started to make sense.
to like register those reactions,
Exactly.
like you mentioned when you see that lady clench her purse and stuff, and it registered. You're like, well, that lady, somebody did that to me when I was 12, but they didn't do it to me when I was 10. Like, what happened? And you're like, I grew. That's it. That's the only thing.
Still same person.
Yeah,
still.
and you're like, so I'm as tall as adults now, and I'm now intimidating.
Exactly.
Because of the color of my skin, and that's terrible.
There's a really good podcast. I think they're just still releasing episodes, but it's called 1619, and it is history on when people were purchased and brought here, and about them jumping off the ship to escape and them getting here, and like, so and my stomach is in knots just the whole time, and not a single piece of that was taught to me in school. Not one. So if anybody needs a podcast to listen to educate yourself more, it's so eye-opening, and it was uncomfortable for me to listen to, but it's almost like an anger, because it's like, why was that kept from me? Why was that kept from me?
We were talking the other day about how change is going to come about with the strong actions that are going to have to be taken to see change, and one was voting, and the other we were talking about was school and what you learn in school. And we were talking about how we weren't taught a lot of the things that we know today, and it's because we educated ourselves. Everything that's going on, you're like,
totally,
what is going on in this world? And so that was something we were talking about the other day, that I think it's obviously where the school is located, and the funds, and the books that they are provided with, but I think that's something that's going to be huge for our future.
I was learning from that podcast not only a lot about slavery that I did not know about, but also even up to 2014. And there's these Black farmers in Louisiana who grow cane sugar, and these banks were not giving them loans until like halfway through the proper growing season, so they couldn't get fertilizer, they couldn't plow their fields, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. I had no idea that it was so prevalent just 6 years ago that people were being stalled on loans because they wanted their farms to fail. It's disgusting. It's so absolutely disgusting.
The worst part about that is you can't vote out a bank owner. And so it's like, so what can we do? We have to educate his grandkids probably.
Right.
And so
We're probably
that
gonna take over one day.
exactly, because
Yeah.
he's going to make sure his family's set up for life. That's how the wealthy of the world work, and that's fine. You should be
Yeah.
able to do that. If we all got a chance to be wealthy, we would make sure our babies are set up for life.
For
So
sure.
I can't. You can't blame anybody for that, but you can blame them for the bad education they've received, the consistency that they put forward in that bad behavior, in that bad ideology. So we do have to educate, because if you can cut that off at some point and say this is not okay, that's when change can come. But that's that private sector side of it,
Yeah.
where you have to change people's beliefs and you have to really educate.
I feel like I am now on a learning binge, and it feels
great.
it feels so
Yeah,
good
that's awesome.
because I just feel better prepared. And now I'm like, okay, so this is parenting.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
really though, really.
She just learned how to say mama, and I'm like, we're gonna talk about Harriet Tubman and everything she did for this country.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Like, I know Apple had done a
I
lot
was
this
gonna talk
past,
about that,
these past 2 weeks, and then like seeing Netflix just coming out with a bunch of documentaries or shows to watch, and I've been like, let's watch this one. This one's the next one. This one's the next one. Like,
So
Okay.
with that, when I started working at Apple, by all means, like I loved everyone, but Apple's like completely like amplified that because of the fact that they're all about equality. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're black, if you're trans, if you're homosexual, no matter what, like it does not matter. They look at you as a human being, and they run the company like that.
Good.
Tim Cook, he's the CEO of Apple, and he put a post out on Twitter the other day in remembrance of George Floyd. Like he let us not work on Thursday during his funeral because we were supposed to go into a store. Let us not work because he wanted to show that he is in support of Black Lives Matter.
Totally.
And
I
That's
say
awesome.
he has a compassionate heart, I think, and it's very, I don't know if many people know, I don't know if it's my business to say on the podcast, but he is a gay man who's leading one of the biggest companies in the world. And he was chosen to do that by their board. They knew that about him. So he comes from a background, I think, of if I can show people that I do good work, and that if I'm just a caring person about the people around me, now not to say that Apple, doesn't have its issues, but that's at least his goal. I think in understanding that personally, in terms of, I have probably felt discriminated against. I have been hurt in this world. How can I make it so that that stops? And
Exactly.
so that's huge.
it's amazing, and I love
That's
working for
great.
the company because I never go to work and feel like I'm being judged. Maybe by the
Good.
customers. I was
fair.
actually telling her this the other day.
Yeah.
So when I was working in Texas, in the Woodlands, I would work with a customer, and it happened a few times. And they asked me where I was from. Like, oh, you don't sound like you're from Texas. We'll continue to go through the conversation. It's like, oh, you speak very well. Like you're spot on.
speak well.
In my head, I'm thinking like, wow, like.
You
Because
speak
I'm
well.
black, does that mean I'm supposed to speak some?
It's
other
exactly
way?
what they were saying.
And I never, and she was telling me, you have to be uncomfortable having the conversations. I never brought it up in a sense to where, well, what do you mean? Or ask the question why they ask me that. I always say, well, my mom grew up, and she, I grew up with my mom and she taught me how to speak well. She told me she never wanted me to be deemed as uneducated because of the fact that I speak a certain way, or I didn't, I'm not able to communicate as well as other people, so, that was always my story. But I thought about what she said, and I was like, man, I should have asked her why. Like, why do you say that?
I
Why?
I was telling him, I'm like, sometimes you have to they're already making you feel uncomfortable because you're like, you really asked me that? And so instead of, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that?
Exactly.
Because then they're like, oh, no, I didn't mean anything by, like, that's the reaction you're more than likely gonna get.
And in that small interaction, you educated them.
Yeah.
You said, hey, that's not exactly, you're telling me I speak well. I'm going to tell you, you don't.
Well, don't come to me with a preconceived notion based on my skin color.
Yeah.
Don't think that I'm lesser educated. Don't think that I will speak in slang, because I'll speak in slang all the time.
Yeah.
Randomly fun. Slang is fun.
Yeah.
Words are fun. Like we were talking about, like choosing your words. But you know, if you're dark skinned, you're looked negatively on if somebody hears you using slang.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes you calling them out for them to step back and be like, okay, what I just said, like, why would I say that, one, and like obviously what did I mean by it, and sometimes it's just more of like, you know, questioning them back and being like, what do you mean by that? Then they're like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that or asked that. You're making them think on, you know,
I love
what
that.
they said.
I love that. Just making them have a second thought. It's okay to have that uncomfortability, which I'm just now learning this week. So I'm not going to sit here and preach like I've done that all the time. I am number one. I hate conflict. I've never liked conflict. Anytime we have an issue with a athlete and a parent's involved, I'm good, but on the inside, I am so uncomfortable. Like, conflict is so hard for me.
As long as you're willing to be educated and to learn and to, you know, even we've all done wrong in some sort of way in this world, and that's okay. You move on from that, and you learn and you grow, and that's why I heard that in actually with the company that I'm in, Money, we had a call, and the guys that were speaking on there were like, they said it literally 20 times. They're like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that just stuck with me.
Wow.
Like, it's so true.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be okay with it.
Well, I've never had anyone talk to me and say, you speak really well. Like, why?
Yeah.
So that blows my mind that that's something that has been said to you and that has never been said to us. Well, it's probably because I don't speak well, but I mean, it's just interesting, the interactions that you guys have probably experienced in your life. It really blows my mind.
Yeah,
it just blows my mind. I don't know. I don't even have words for it. It just makes me sad.
Yeah,
it is nice to know. Actually, we were with my parents the other day, and I got a message from a girl I went to high school with. Well, actually, elementary through to high school, and she was like, I just want to reach out and let you know that I want to apologize if I ever offended you in any way by touching your hair when we were in high school. Because I used to, well, I still do, but I wear my hair just in a ponytail, and because the type of hair I have, it's like just different texture, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
I went to
it's like
predominantly white,
totally.
School and neighborhood, and so she was like, I never meant any harm by it, but I wanted to reach out and let you know that if I did, like, I truly, deeply from the bottom of my heart apologize. And I'm like, wow, like that, these are the type of people that I'm, you know, we're looking for in this world. So even if that took a lot, that takes a lot to reach out to someone and apologize for something you think may have hurt them in a way. And so I'm like, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. That means a lot, especially during this
unexpected
time. And
too.
Yeah, and even though we were friends, we were really, really close friends at one point, and so I'm like, I never took it in an ill will, but there are people when I was in elementary school and even high school that did do stuff to me that that will never apologize, one, and two, that made me feel some type of way, you know. But then again, I'm in a school where there's 5 Black kids, and you know, so it's just an uncomfortable situation. And but I read the message to them, and they were like, wow, that was very like nice of her, and
it feels like it stuck with her. And it sounds like for you it wasn't even really a second thought, so that really speaks volumes. Wow. There's people who've put pencils in my hair when it was like that, or lead, or like I was in elementary school and a girl called me the N-word, and I told my parents. In elementary school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. And I moved schools that next year, but my stepdad, you guys will meet him one day. He's literally the best. But he was fired up. Like I got out of school, they picked me up, and we didn't even leave the school. Like we went right back into the school, and he's like, absolutely not. Like, I want a meeting with the parents, with, you know, the student, and we are gonna
it's time to get uncomfortable, and it's time to educate. Good for him.
Well, and that's, I think, the biggest thing is people are so quick to just be like, well, somebody posted the N-word, they are canceled, they're kicked off every team, they're kicked out of schools. And that's fine. Punishment should fit the crime because that's hateful. But how do we go past that? Are we going to shun this person from society? Because if we do that, they're probably going to develop those beliefs further and, you know, dwell on
like
those.
who educates that person?
Exactly. And so I think that's a change that we need to make in terms of like, okay, if we've identified somebody who's being hateful, what steps can we take so that punishment is served, so that they can, and then can they learn from the punishment so that they don't do it again, so maybe they can educate somebody else from doing it. And I think that's the biggest gap, is where nobody has an answer to educating it, because like you said, let's bring the parent down here, let's bring the kid in here, let's talk it out.
I love that.
You know, I hope that worked well, but you know, if that other dad that taught that little girl that word comes in just as fired up as your stepdad did, it's probably not, they're going to go home with separate ideologies still.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we get through that to make it so that that little girl doesn't dwell on this moment forever, but doesn't do that ever again, you know? And I don't have the answer to that, but, you know, I hope that, you know, in our world as coaches, we can walk that path and, you know, I hope we don't have to broach that topic, and I hope that all the kids we coach, but that's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to come along at some point, and so how do we educate that kid? So but so this is good to switch to the next topic, which is a little more apt for cheerleading, you know, talking specifically about racism in cheerleading. So this Anon account that I've interacted with before, it's barely a cheer account anymore. I think it's like an anime picture as the profile picture. But they were a big fan of Cali Black Ops back in the day. So they just put this together at the end of May, and it's just screenshots and calling people out. I didn't necessarily do any follow-up research, so I don't know if all of these are actually valid. I don't know if there were apologies made following. I don't know what steps have been taken. So not necessarily here to just read these out and roast the people that did them, but more so to kind of continue this conversation of, what if you're on a team, you know, I'm on my team, I'm Scott, you know, the white kid on my team, and I see my friend, my teammate, post the N-word on their Snapchat. They're saying it aloud. You know, what do I do? What power do I have? And I think this is tough for a lot of kids who are 14, 15, 16, 17. They don't want to ruin friend groups, ruin those team relationships, be looked at as a snitch or a narc. But I think people have to think above that in terms of, what are the repercussions from my teammate posting this? Is a kid from my school going to see this? Is this going to be shared broadly? Are people going to look bad at me because I'm associated with them? I think that's where we all should feel the motivation to do something. Is if I see a teammate doing it, I am by association attached to them. So shouldn't that make you mad enough to call them out and say, you know? So I guess I want to open this up and just, you know, what steps, obviously we want to go to the coach. Coach is your leader of any team. So if that happens, you see a teammate who did, you know, say the N-word, post the N-word somewhere, I guess what do we do?
I think you had said at Sam Houston you guys experienced some of this and you had to overcome it. What did you guys do?
I know that we've had conversations like with athletes who may have used that word, and we're like, that's not okay to say just because we have, you know, black kids on our team and they use it, or whatever the case is. It doesn't make it okay for you to say, and it is about association as well. I think there's a lot of times I had different friends that weren't just in cheer, you know, that were on other sports too. And when you get so comfortable with saying that word inside of practice or around those friends, and then you're out and about and a different group hears you say that, they're like, okay, well, the cheerleaders are okay with their white friends saying the N-word, and then now it's a spirit program thing that is getting talked about, and you're like, okay, now it's the bigger picture, you know. It's just like when you're taking a picture in your uniform with alcohol in the picture. It's, you know, you're guilty by association, and
yes,
that's something I know he has had conversations with people at Sam about it, particularly of why he doesn't say the word. He doesn't want to make people feel comfortable enough to say the word around him. You could speak more on conversations.
So with that, I know when we had the conversations, we would sit down everyone that it pretty much it was a co-ed team, so we sat everyone in the team together. Coaches weren't included because they didn't know about it, obviously, but we had the conversation and let them know like how we felt about it. I'm not gonna name any names, but there are a few people that felt like it was degrading to them more than others, but because they didn't say it, they didn't enjoy it, they didn't like it, and hearing someone else say it made them feel that they were coming for them or they were attacking them, and it may have not been their intentions when they said it, but hearing it over and over and knowing where that word rooted from, where it came from, and why we were called that, it makes a lot of us feel, well, you shouldn't have the right to say that word because it's meant in a negative sense, in a negative way.
There's no way that you're saying it positively.
Right, exactly. And then they'll say, well, we didn't say the ER, we said the A. I'm like, that doesn't make a difference. It's the same. You
still meant a negative thing about a black person.
Exactly.
That's the root of it to me in what I've studied in like literature and stuff where it's been used and been removed from literature even. And it's like, it is meant, it was created and it's meant and it's only can reflect negatively about a person of color. Like I don't get how people can try to play those tongue twister games with it and be, like I said, use the ER, the A, or I was singing it. Or, you say it.
It's in the songs, and that's another thing too. Just getting on track. Our music that we listen to, like the music that we listen to, and the music that we hear every day, has the word in there, and you get comfortable. You get, it's something that's instilled into your brain, and you feel like it's okay. But aside from the music, going back to cheer, so we would have the conversation and let people know how we felt about it. And some people would like, all right, well, we're not going to say it at all, and they would, understand it. Other people would be like, well, I don't have a negative sense on it, so I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm just, it's a part of my vocabulary. And I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be a part of your vocabulary.
Wow.
And I have friends that are black that would say it all the time as well. And like at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I understand. You may be using it in a sense of like, greeting a friend or whatever the case is. Like that's how a lot of let's look at it. Like, oh, well, we use the word because it's an endearment. Like we what's up, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But even for someone that's black that's using the word, it shouldn't be said because, again, that negative connotation that the word has had over the years. I don't care how you've manipulated the word or use it in certain songs or sentences to make it sound better. It's not going to make it better by any means.
Right.
So, you have that mix in between because you have your people who say the word consistently that are black that feel like it's not a problem, and then you have your group of white friends that say it as well because they hear it in music, they hear the people on the team say it all the time, and they think it's okay, and for those of us that didn't think the word was okay, we're hearing that and we only get mad, you only get upset about it because at that point you feel like they're ignoring the big picture behind it and why we don't want you to say it.
Yes.
And they're just saying it because of the fact that, oh, well, this person said it's cool. I'm going to say it because, he's my black friend, so I feel like that's okay. So like it just grows from there. And then, like I said, people feel confident. And then, like she was saying, you get into those other groups of people, football players or whatever sports, or even just hanging out with people at the pool that are of color, and you start using that word, then they take offense to that.
Yeah.
And then that's when you get the arguments, you get the fights, you get the outbreaks between, spirit program and football or whatever the case is.
Or you get the labels.
Yep.
This program is racist.
Exactly.
Or this program.
Then you're only setting yourself up for failure because there's no change.
Yeah.
So we actually made it a point that where we couldn't say it in the practice room at all.
Good.
So no one said it within the walls of the
team rule type
exactly.
of thing. Okay.
So we had that, and obviously, outside of practice, people would still use the word on their own term. But I feel like now, like especially with the mindset that I have now, and having a son, which has definitely opened up my eyes to so many different things. I would have probably handled that so much like in a different way. I would have made them really understand why. Because I may have talked about
more
it.
education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
We may
you
have had
did
the conversation.
something. You didn't stay quiet, and
True.
you did something. So I guarantee whoever from Sam Houston is listening to this that cheered with you guys way long ago, you probably set an example that still is there today.
Yeah.
That's
I hope
huge.
so.
That's huge. I feel like that's huge.
And honestly, I will say that the culture that I've seen just from social media and like, talking to friends that are currently still on the team, it has completely changed.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is a great thing. And having Bally
Run
as a
by
coach.
some good coaches.
Yeah,
I was
having
gonna
Bally
say.
as a coach and Jesse helping out has been such an amazing, changing everything, changing like the way they run things, changing the way that they go about different scenarios. Like it's definitely been a huge move in the right direction, which I'm happy to see.
So I guess I didn't realize you guys didn't cheer under Jesse and Bally.
We did for 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. So we met Jesse and Bally when we did a UCA camp in Germany. And it was their first UCA camp ever.
Wow.
And they were so nice. And they were like, you guys taught us so much. And me and Scott are like, we didn't do anything.
Oh, wait, no,
not do anything.
so to correct, it was their first high school camp. So
There we go. They had done a ton of college
pulled
camps.
right into college
Thank
from
you.
their first summer.
Yeah.
Never had touched a high school camp, and
Because they're that talented.
Right.
Also, it's in Germany, so good
luck.
Yeah.
And now they're huge over on the international side
Yeah.
as far as teaching cheerleading, which is cool. So
Yeah, they're great people. And Jesse's really used his voice a lot during this time.
Yeah,
I've
on
seen
social media.
posts on
I
Facebook
love that.
and literally every single day. I think something that's huge that people are trying to get across is like, don't let this be fire for 2 weeks or a week and then it gets swept again.
Totally.
And so to see, someone who's coached us, someone who's a huge role model to us, speak up and continuously speak up, and what he is posting is huge. On a side note, they have a lot of talent coming in
Yeah,
this year, and
they're
I'm
gonna be
super
so good this
excited.
year.
Yeah,
That's
to
awesome.
see how their season goes.
we need to get
'cause
some Colorado kids down there
Yeah.
too, because I think
We're
they would
trying
have a
to.
really good time.
I've
For
been
sure.
literally
She wanted
trying,
to come
and
to our
it's
clinic last year.
Yeah, but we're just gonna have
this year
DQ
she's
at it
Yeah.
for Sam Houston.
it's that difference of UCA NCA. I think that holds a lot of people back here in Colorado because
Totally.
they're like, well, I'm used to the Alabama, Indiana, going to those schools, and I'm like, don't turn your head to those
Totally.
NCA schools because they're just as competitive, they're just as good, and it's a fun.
If not more competitive, if not better.
Yes,
like
yes.
it's
I will
a
say,
crazy
put this
divide.
on the record.
Hear me loud and clear.
So I've done UCA for 6
Both of
years.
us, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I competed at UCA school for 2. When I went to Sam Houston and competed at NCA, it is completely different.
Yes.
Like the atmosphere, being on the band shell.
Yep.
Yes, it's
Outdoor
a lot of
cheerleading
tumbling.
is weird, and it's underrated for like the sport.
It's hard.
Nobody
Yeah.
talks about how very few competitions are outdoors,
Yeah.
and how one of the most prestigious ones
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's such an amazing experience.
Finals
Yes.
is, which is like
Yeah.
Yes.
prelims and semis are inside.
Yeah.
So I was at an NCA
Dark,
school my
air
freshman year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Convention
And then you get
center.
put out and you're stunting and looking at
The
the
sun.
sun.
Yeah.
And it's windy because
Yeah.
it's
Makes
on
it more
the
challenging,
beach.
yeah.
You literally see the heat waves coming off
Yeah.
the
It's off the
mat.
mats, yeah.
The mat is on fire.
Yeah, your
I
shoes are
remember.
literally melted.
Yeah, my
Like,
first time.
Your hands are on
stepping
fire.
I don't tumble, so.
So do you think your NCAA routine was harder for
Oh, most
you as
definitely.
an athlete?
Most definitely. And I didn't tumble at all.
Yeah.
I had one jump.
One jump.
One jump.
I would love to see that if we could pull that up
My jumps are
somewhere.
actually really good.
I don't doubt you. You're
They
an
are.
athlete. I don't doubt you.
At camp, actually, this year at was it camp?
I saw you in the
Yes.
middle of a circle.
He was in the middle of a circle and did a toe touch.
Oh.
They were all like,
It
"Do
was
a
a
tuck,
hurdle
do a
toe.
tuck."
It was a hurdle
Oh
toe.
yeah, do a tuck, DQ, do a tuck, and he's like, "All right." He like goes out there, adds jumps to a tuck. I'm like, "You are showing out."
She's over here 8 months pregnant.
Right,
She's
I'm
like,
like, oh.
lame. Get out of there.
Washed out.
I think we saw DQ DQ go in there and I was like, go do a tuck. We look back.
Yeah, I remember that actually. I remember that.
And then he did a jump. I was like,
Turn around.
Easy is cool. We're not jumping. We're not jumping.
But yeah, I would
so
definitely
funny.
say my routine at NCAA routine was a lot harder.
It's more. It's that fast pace. It is like
very
that
silly.
all-star-y routine, but I
very
think with those collegiate level skills, that's what also makes it hard. And
Yes.
I did all-girl and co-ed, and so all-girl routines. The year that we won, it was hard. It was a hard routine. Double full baskets on an all-girl group rather than
I
a
miss
group.
those. I miss
different.
those
Can't
so
do those
hard.
anymore.
Like open doubles on all girl.
Not
Like
for a bit.
I miss it. I miss it.
Yeah, and so I think it's different. And competing
It's
outside is different. We had
Yes, it
you know,
is.
like our Hell Week or whatever it was called, for our spring break,
Yeah.
where we would have to go outside and practice
For
for the
spring break.
full
Yes.
for the full 2
Yep.
weeks, you know, outside and getting used to that, and that was a huge change for me
Yeah.
too.
You guys are lucky in Texas though to be able to do that
have it,
because
yeah.
meanwhile I'm in Kansas and like they couldn't practice outside at the amount that you guys could. Like so that's just so different being able to train in the heat versus a Kansas spring break you're still getting snow.
Oh,
like
yeah, for
so
sure.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
just different too.
It is competitive too. There's a ton more. You know, you start with a team of 40 who cheer at games.
Yep.
That's your team, and then we also have mat tryouts.
Yep.
And you know that's only 20 people that get to go on the floor. So
Totally.
then you're like really fighting for spots. Sam was a step up for me in the sense of, you know, I had to really work hard. I had to get new skills. I had, you know what I mean?
I pushed myself
Yeah.
harder at
She was an alternate the year she won.
Yeah,
She
I
had to
well,
work her way
I had to
to
work.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started out as an alternate. Just you know, girl always had attitude, so I started out as an alternate, and I had to. You know, my coach was like, fix these things. You know, you want we want to have a good teammate, and
Yeah.
that's where I've learned a lot of more of my patience, a lot more of understanding and digging deep in yourself. And that first day that he told me that, I wanted to literally leave. I called my mom. I was crying. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. And you know, and then I really am like, do I want to give up? Like, that's not who I am. And so
Totally.
I had to work hard the rest of that season, and I ended up on the mat and won that year. So it was like, started out so low and bad, and then won.
So glorious.
Yeah.
So
What a
Such a
good
good
learning
experience.
experience
Yeah.
for you too. Because I know when I was an alternate, like in between classes, I would go to our gym. We had our cheerleading was very valued at Barton, so that was awesome. But I would, in between classes, I would just go throw tumbling passes, and like it wasn't even so much for me of like I'm going to get a running full, because that was not going to happen in my cards. But I wanted whatever tumbling I had to have the reps, and I wanted to be strong in it, and I wanted to. I did not want to be held back. Because the technique wasn't there or whatever. So, but it was just one of those things where you're looking at it and you're like, why am I not the first alternate in this?
Yeah.
Like, why I'm working so hard. But there are some other things that were kind of working against me. Again, not to take away from the girls that were on the mat. And like even the first alternate off the mat, I'm like, y'all are just way more talented. Like, and they were.
All right. So, circling back to what you said a moment ago before we got on our cheer tape.
I know,
which is
right?
Totally fine because we all are
love talking about
missing
cheer.
We do that a lot.
so bad. And you said we have to keep this energy going. It's not just 2 weeks of let's care about racism for 2 weeks. If once we get tired of it, like we all got tired of coronavirus, we'll just go back to normal. And as you guys have experienced in your life, normal is BS. Normal is not safe. Normal is scary. And so I saw this tweet this morning, and so it said, it's a screenshot, says the Montgomery bus boycott lasted 382 days. The Greensboro sit-ins lasted 6 months. The freedom rides in the South on the bus rides lasted 7 months. And the Birmingham movement alone lasted 37 days. So, just in terms of history, learning from it, if people are wanting to get over this, then let's make some change. Then let's make some real change
For sure.
that we can vote on and we can take action on and then we can have follow up on to make sure that change is followed through. But if everybody wants to downplay it and try to not stand up to this very prevalent issue in our society, then it will last a long time. Yeah. We all have to do our best to kind of cut it back, cut it down.
I think this time is as loud as it is, and we're like, everyone's eyes are opening up to it. I think the fact that everyone's eyes are opening up to it, to me, this time feels different.
Yeah.
And it does feel like, you know, there are a lot more people on the same side, as there are some who still are not. But I think this time is going to really, there's going to be change. At least we hope. At least
I know. I
The
mean,
numbers.
we continue.
Yeah.
The numbers that we've seen in like these marches and
amazing.
the protests
Awesome.
Amazing.
Still, I seen a tweet today. I was showing him on the 12th day. Where was it in?
where was that? Was it in Atlanta?
I don't know. I see, and
Atlanta's
it was just
mayor's
a
been crushing it.
video of all these, you know, the march and all these protesters, and it's
was that in
dying
Philadelphia?
down.
It was
Maybe
Philly.
Yeah.
It was Philly.
I saw
Did you see
that
that
this morning
video?
too. It
Yeah.
was insane.
Crazy.
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, and you just you love to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you love to see how. And I was complaining to Scott about this earlier this week. I was like, we should be there. We should be protesting. We should be holding hands with our friends, and we should be there. But I'm going to be selfish right now because our baby is too young to not have a mom.
Yeah.
And then I think, how freaking selfish is that of me? Because how many people just went on a casual drive to the gas station and got pulled over?
That is true.
And now those kids don't have moms or
That is
dads
true.
or whatever. And so it's just every time I have a little internal dialogue with myself of like, no, I need to do this for my daughter. I just think, well, lucky you. Don't you get to have that privilege? And so I'm like, I've been fighting with myself all week. Like,
Well, we were
It
having
is-
this conversation too.
Yeah, because I was telling him I was talking on the phone with my friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm missing the protest in Denver right now. Like, and he woke up, and I told him, like, there's one going on, you know, in Denver, and he was like, oh, and then a day or two passed, and I told him, I was like, I've really been thinking about it, and all the things you see going on is scary. It's scary because, you know, do we go and not, you see so many kids down there.
Yes.
You see so many kids, and it's, as a new mom, you're kind of like, oh, okay, like, for all the crazy things going on, you're really putting, you know, your family at that risk. And then you don't bring your kid, but then someone decides to go crazy and shoot, or
we
whatever
saw
the case may
somebody from
be.
Denver got arrested with
Yeah.
like
And-
an arsenal of weapons.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
because he wanted to
psycho
break up,
stuff.
like a racist wanted to break up the protesters.
Yeah.
So we had two buddies go, like quite a few nights in a row.
Yeah, they went several
And they
nights.
said, do not watch the news. It has been so peaceful. It has been so encouraging. It has been awesome.
Twisting it back to cheerleading a little bit. So we all are coaching in some capacity. We all work with young people, young athletes that are developing their own ideals, their own values, you know, obviously with their parents, with their own community and stuff. So we have a very active piece of this. So, you know, thinking broadly, you know, for us specifically, for our team, I know we talk about it all the time, not even just in regards to race, but just how are we serving all of our kids? You know, if from my knowledge of the kids that are on my team, they're probably all straight. But what if one of them is gay? You know, if I'm saying things that are offensive to gay people, am I making their life tougher on the inside? And I think it's the same thing that we can do with race and with kids on your team. Are they Hispanic? Are they black? It doesn't matter. Are you making sure that they're comfortable in the safe space, like you mentioned earlier? Can they come to you as a coach, as a trusted person, about their feelings on something, about an issue that somebody else brought to them? I know that we've made it in a conscious decision. We like our girls to wear red lips. But in my experience in the world, if you tell a black girl, hey, you got to wear these red lips, and they're the red lips that every other white girl's wearing, she's going to look very foolish. She is going to look like something from 100 years ago, where it was a minstrel show where black people were made fun of for humor. And you know, a 15-year-old might not understand that connotation. They might not understand that connection to history, but somebody else in the crowd might. somebody might treat her differently because of that. She might be putting it on and thinking, I look terrible.
Or her mom might be saying, like, why the hell are your coaches making you wear that?
Exactly. And so just having that understanding. So when we say we're wearing red lips, we have one black girl on a team. We immediately said we're wearing red lips. She was a freshman, and we're like, pause. We know what you're gonna ask, because she immediately was like, she knew that red lips wouldn't look good on her, and we were like, okay, we want a red lip. Go pick one that looks good for you. We said,
this is my favorite story.
and
This
she
is
was
our
like,
first
but
year
she's
coaching.
14. She goes, I don't know. She goes, I don't know what to pick. And so Lauren goes, all right, let's go.
So we took a white girl and we took our one black girl and we took them to Ulta. And this is still one of my favorite memories. But like this was all Scott. I did not think twice about this. I was like, they wear red lips, whatever.
Yeah.
Scott's like, that athlete is going to look different. So we need to find a red lip that looks good on her and a red lip that looks good on the other girls. And so we took them both to Ulta, and they had the best time. They were
I was like,
trying
try
on a
'em on,
million
try 'em
lipsticks.
on.
They were like having so much fun. And to this day, I still love like opening my lipstick bag and like seeing her come over with pride, being like, I will take my color. Thank you very much. Like, this is the one that looks good on me. And you know, now they all like share all of them in their groups, but-
now the girls were like, I like her darker lip. Coach, can we go with a more darker lip? And so we were like, yeah, sure. Like, it
whatever
doesn't-
makes y'all feel good. Like,
Yeah,
go out and hit. I will
yeah.
give you whatever lipstick you want.
Yeah, we just want the judges to be able to see your lips moving,
Yeah.
so that's why we choose the red lip. But I think, I think that can be overlooked, and it can be hurtful for a kid who's looking in the mirror 100 times a day. Have you ever experienced that?
We were talking about this earlier. Because I'm not a fan of lipstick. Overall I'm not, but I also never wore it before cheering at the collegiate level. In high school we didn't have to wear red lipstick. I mean, I did cheer a while ago in high school, but they're always like have something on your lips, and majority of the time it's red lips. And I'm not wearing that. Absolutely not. I don't look good. I'm not going out there looking like that. And
like with my orange uniform too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
like, no, absolutely not. But I did, find lipsticks that were more neutral. I'm a very neutral person. I'm not huge on makeup either. Like, I'll do some mascara, maybe some blush, maybe some whatever. But I was very more neutral. A lot of the times I really just wouldn't even put it on. I'd put like lip gloss or something like that and kind of just keep away from my coaches just so they didn't, be like, hey, where's your lipstick? Go put it on. Or I'd put it on super early, and it was the ones that can come off, not the stains. So by the time we had to cheer game,
some girls
or
that
we
would
went,
do that.
come off.
Yes.
So I have had experience with that, and I think it is overlooked, and I don't necessarily think it's in a meaningful way, or someone being like, oh no, you all need to look the same, I don't care if you feel uncomfortable. I think it's just more so the sport, and you want, it has become a thing. It was a thing when I was in college, so I never really felt though like it was
like an attack on your skin color.
And I'm a very vocal person. I say it how I feel it is, and so they know that. And
did you ever feel the need to have a conversation with your coach about it and be like, I just do not think I look good like this? Could we do something? Could we talk about this?
No, I didn't actually. I'm just gonna
skip.
Yeah, I just did what.
That's fair.
Honestly, and everyone knows this who knows me. I don't care. I do. I have my attitude's gotten better as I'm a mom now, but I just was very vocal, and if I didn't feel comfortable with something, I'm like, I'm not wearing that, or I'll wear something that I feel more comfortable with, and kind of find those loopholes of like putting it on earlier, and then I run out onto the field before they can catch me.
So you're like doing this, like, just smear a little bit more. Yeah. I'm just glad Scott brought that to my attention, because so much of cheerleading is making all kids look the same. But it's mostly, let's make them all look like white girls, in my opinion, for the most of the sport. And so I know that our athlete has come to us a few times, are you okay if I wear my hair like this to camp? It'll be back to normal by the school year. And I'm like, do whatever you want with your hair. Like, I hope that we've made it very clear to her that she can do what she wants within the contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to come in with purple hair because we
Right.
have our blonde girls that love to dye their hair all these
Right.
crazy colors, like within the contract. But that's not for us a race thing. This is a job that you tried out for, that you want to be a part of, and you're being a professional and you're representing your school in the best way possible. If you want to go get braids, long braids, I am fine with that.
Yeah.
I express yourself. Be like that is.
Yeah, because straight hair, that's another one that I had down is like, it may not have an ill will behind it. Coach wants everybody to have same hair, but for a black girl, it's hard to straighten your hair. Have straight hair. It's
especially when you're in Texas and
humid.
the humidity. Like I know and there were black girls previously on the team before me, and they like wear weaves. I know one of the girls, she does her own hair, so she always changed her hair how she wanted to wear it. You know what I mean? And when I first got there, I just have my curly hair, and then I'm also trying not to straighten it as much because my whole childhood I want to look like everyone else in my school and straighten it and damage my hair to where now, you know, like curls are it, like just your natural hair, be beautiful in your own way. And I think that when I got there, I did feel that is one thing I felt like, okay, I do need to straighten my hair. Like they're like straight hair. And so it never was me being like, can I wear my hair curly? It was just me like, okay, let me just straighten my hair to avoid the conflict, you know, that may have been there. But there are girls who were in that program just like me that spoke, and they were like, no, I know one girl had worn her hair straight one game, and her mom, like you say, like parents can come and be like, absolutely not. And she was like, don't make my daughter straighten her hair again. Like, she will wear it natural. She will wear it the same style, half up, half down, low
Exactly.
pony,
Like,
whatever, but
that.
it's gonna be curly. Like, don't make her feel uncomfortable at a game to where, you know, it is humid and you straighten your hair. By the time you get out there, it's huge and it's frizzy and it doesn't
it's not
look
the curl,
good.
the cute curls that you can make it. It's
Exactly.
just a frizzy mess.
Exactly.
Me being somebody who hates it. So
Yeah.
with my somewhat curly hair, I can empathize there because it just turns into a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You
you're
can't just
ruining it.
switch.
Yeah, it's everyone has different, you know, types of texture in their hair, and I think that plays a big part. And you know, the girl on the team who wanted to wear her curly hair, she had always had her hair naturally curly, so she had those pretty curls that, you know,
Beautiful.
looks good, and then mine are damaged and don't look good. So, you know, but a lot of times, like, I did start wearing my hair natural when we would have it in low ponies. I would just put my hair in a ponytail. Now it's more of like people like to say poof ball. But, you know, it doesn't like hang, it doesn't flow down, I guess, like straight hair does.
Totally.
But I definitely would just be like, I'm wearing it natural today. Like, I don't feel like taking an hour and a half to straighten my hair for it to be frizzy.
And you shouldn't have to. You still look professional.
Yeah.
You were still doing your
'Cause
job.
you still had it half up, half down.
Yep.
You still had
Right.
your bow in, and and so that's I think something that cheer coaches, especially in our world, just should be a little bit aware of with your whole team. And even if you don't have a black kid on your team, you might have a Mexican girl who's got thick, coarse hair. She can't straighten it because she'll be straightening it for 2 hours too, damaging it all the same. So it's just being aware of allowing everyone to be themselves, being their true self, and not having kids worry about their self-esteem or their looks further when they just want to be on the team.
Right.
Like,
They want a community to be a part of.
And it's no different from that bob haircut. You know, you have girls in cheer who have, or at least one on every team who has a bob haircut, and if you wear high ponies or low ponies, they can't wear their hair like that. So they go to the half up, half down.
Yep.
It's no different than that.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
This whole conversation reminded me of in college, in one of the classes I took, we watched the Chris Rock movie Good Hair. Have you guys seen that? Yeah. And just really eye-opening documentary, and feels very random that it comes from Chris Rock. You know, before that, he was only stand-up. He had stand-up in movies and SNL. But,
I haven't seen this. What is Good Hair?
So he wanted to dive into it. His 3-year-old daughter came to him and said, "Dad, why don't I have good hair?" And he didn't know how to answer it. And so he was like, honey, you have good hair. What are you talking about? And she wanted long, straight hair, like you see on the Tresemme commercials or whatever. It's just hammered home. So, it won all sorts of awards. I just pulled up the page. And I'm sure he probably touches on Madam C.J. Walker because says on the Wikipedia, Rock delves into the $9 billion black hair industry, visits salons, barbershops, hairstyling conventions. Other things that come to mind in cheer that kind of are along that same line of like lips, hair.
I think, and maybe this is more in the all-star community, but the insane tans, like the spray tans.
And some people take pictures and make
So
comments.
that
That's
thread
some
is,
of tweets. I think that's something that's as common as tans are. Yeah, in cheer, it's some people are just
And they go
Take it overboard.
Yeah.
extra dark, and then they're Snapchatting to their friends, and they're like, "Isn't this funny?" And it's like,
I changed races for a week. Yeah, there are coaches out there who are like, no, absolutely, like you need to get a spray tan, like you need to get a spray tan, you need to get a spray tan, like you need to get a spray tan, and that's always kind of blown my mind too, because I'm like, why?
yeah, why? What's the point?
And they're here at practice every day, practicing in front of you without a spray tan.
And I'm
How
sure
does it
sometimes
go?
you're like, should I get one, coach?
Right.
It's like, what's the answer there?
Okay. Yeah. So I just think that was a good one. I'm glad you brought that up.
That was just one we had seen in that thread, and I hadn't thought of it because I never did All-Star. I did gymnastics for a long time, and you don't want to spray tan in gymnastics or ruin your leotard. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
And regardless of whatever it is, I think we just all as coaches, no matter who you are, no matter who your kids are, it's just making sure cheer is that safe space in terms of an adult that you can come to if your own teammate is being hateful, a classmate is being hateful, because then the coach can work with the school in that regard. But making it so that your kids feel like they can be themselves, can be safe being themselves, and then making it so that the group around them also has that same value for the team mindset. Because so many teams are just like, let's come in and do the work and get out of here, and it's like, that's great for when you go to win, but it might be fine. You might have an okay culture, but if there's one person on the edge, it can all fall apart like a house of cards. So.
Most of the times too, from you seeing that thread, are big name gyms or big name athletes, and you're kind of like,
so
right, eye-opening.
If you are seeing that, those leaders that are out there, ask your friends a question. Ask your community what you can do to support them better, because you're not going to just magically come up with the answer. I think that's the key, and nobody is. We all have to understand and have that empathy.
just speak up, use your voice.
Honestly,
go ahead.
Cheerleading in general, like we all just watching high school cheer girls go through their day-to-day life, like you see them experience stuff, like people judging them because they think that they're top notch. They think that they are, they're entitled, or they feel like they are stuck up, or whatever the case is. And we have that stigma placed on us, and then that makes us feel, I guess, as cheerleaders, like, oh, that's not right. We shouldn't, because we are very genuine people. Like, we encourage everyone, supposedly, we're supposed to, obviously, but like we teach that, we instill that in our athletes. But people look at us and like, oh, well, we think we're all that. I saw a post the other day about like what cheerleaders wear to games, like, oh, they expose too much skin, or like they do this or do that, or whatever the case is. And they're making it seem like I don't wear.
If you wore a skirt, I'm sure you'd know it.
But in that sense,
crop top
skirts, sports bras, Spanx, whatever like the case is, and they think that we're being provocative, or like sexualizing, and we're not. Like, it's like you see someone on a track team that's running on a track because it's hot, and they wear a sports bra and tights, whatever you want to call it, like
or gymnastics.
Gymnastics, it's same thing. Leotard, same thing. But I guess just because of the fact that cheerleaders are usually, most popular people in the school, like they're well known, people know who they are.
Dynamic,
it's
for sure.
usually, they're looked upon like, oh, well, they're stuck up, or oh, they do this, or oh, they, they downplay us because we're not a cheerleader, or whatever the case is. But it should be the same thing within our circle. Like we shouldn't judge people based off of that. Like
Right.
As a program, you have people on the outside looking at us like that. So why not come together within your team? Why not come together and show the community that you guys are equal? You guys have positive thoughts. You guys are here to encourage and here to motivate. Like
Totally.
if you do that as a program, then people on the outside will see that and they're like, okay, well maybe I had the wrong impression at first. Like maybe cheerleaders aren't like that, and then that just it trickles down to everyone else. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, like that's where it comes for us as coaches and everyone else that are mentors or have some type of big hand in a program, where you educate your athletes and you let them know, look, I accept you for you. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't care what color your skin is. I accept you for you. And you need to instill it in your kids and make your kids understand.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's the same thing,
Amen.
like same thing across the board. I don't care if you're a freshman and a senior. We were talking about this earlier. Like, I don't care if you're a freshman and a senior comes in and like your senior's not doing anything. That freshman can step up and show them that, look, I'm a hardworking athlete. I don't care what you're going to say. You're not going to haze me. You're not going to make me feel like I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
I'm showing you that I can come out here and I can take your spot if I wanted to, like.
Darn
but
right.
Coach knows it too.
Exactly.
Darn right.
And if you have people with the same attitude as that, then that's only, obviously, like, it's competitive still, which is amazing. You want competition.
Totally.
That's the only way you're going to continue to grow.
It's a
and be
blessing to have
successful.
competitiveness. It really
Exactly.
is.
But at the same sense, you have to accept people for who they are.
Absolutely.
Accept people for their thoughts and accept people for what they do.
You have to understand people come from different backgrounds. And so
Exactly.
when you see a person handle anger maybe differently than you do, you can't shut it out. You got to help. You're a teammate still. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
I hate that we can't be with our kids right now. That obviously we're still in the middle of a global pandemic, but we have something way bigger, in my opinion, happening in our country. And it kills me that I can't hug every single one of our athletes right now and say, like, I hope you still feel safe here. I hope that this is still like your place to escape all the rest of the world, because that's what it is for
what it
us.
is. Yeah.
We get to escape the world for 2 hours a day, and I don't think our kids know that. But like, we do get to escape it too, and then we get to help them, and we get to help them be great humans, at least hopefully.
Try to
Yeah,
build
and then
a
that-
little less crazy world.
Trickles down,
Yeah, it's definitely it sucks not being able to see athletes at this time. I think this whole last couple of months have taught us a lot, and I think that something that's huge right now, something that I was feeling very emotional about, that we were having conversation about, was people reaching out. And I think that during this time where we do have athletes who are Black, or you have friends who are Black, family members who are Black, like when something like this happens, and maybe you don't use your social media a lot, maybe you don't speak up on your social media a lot, but a call, a text, a FaceTime of, I'm thinking about you during this time, like, I hope you guys are doing okay, just know that we are here, we love you. That simple reach out, I think, means a lot during this time. And something that really hit me hard was when that girl from high school had reached out to me. I'm like, you have people, my old coach at Iowa Western reached out to me and texted me, and it's just when you
I'm
have
glad
people,
to hear that you like that. It's like,
There are some people that don't, though.
yeah, okay, that's fair. So that's been
was gonna
hard
say-
for us.
And they actually touched on that on the Sesame Street thing when I was watching that. Some people are going to reach out to their Black friends and they're going to say, how are you? Have you seen what's going on? And they might just be saying that, and it might seem like they're like, well, what do you think about it? And that's not necessarily what they're asking. They're saying, have you seen what's going on? What do you think about it in terms of how can I help
Yes.
you as a friend? And,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
something that is being miscommunicated because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's calling up your friend and you feel like you're like, I'm calling up my token Black friend. And it's like, no, I'm calling my friend
Yeah.
who is probably a little scared, a little weirded out by the world right now who maybe could use another ally behind them. And then maybe at the same time they're like, no, everyone's reaching out to me.
Yeah.
I don't need that. And it's
I know I got
tough.
nervous when I reached out to you because I consider you guys close friends of ours here. And I know that for a couple of days there, you were just angry and just like so frustrated with the world, and I completely understand. But I remember coming home and I was telling Scott, I was like, I haven't heard back from Gigi, and I don't know if I didn't speak up enough. Like, I started second guessing everything I did. And so when you were like, I love you too, you know, this, that, it's just, I think I really aligned with you so well because we had babies 2 weeks apart from each other. And for whatever reason, when our children are going through the same milestones together, we just have that bond now. And I just remember really sweating it for a couple days, and I was like, no, she needs to breathe. Like, I don't understand, but I want to understand. And so I was just so relieved to hear back from you, and you're like, we're okay, we're frustrated, but we love you guys, and you know, this, that, and another thing. But I know for a couple days there I was like, well, now she probably just thinks I reached out to her because she's a black girl, and like now I'm like sitting here like overanalyzing everything I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, you know, an uncomfortable position, so you don't know. I've heard a lot, especially with the company that I'm in, people being like, I'm not sure of the right things to say, or how can I help? And that's something we were touching on in that company, was just, you know, reaching out and being like, I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do, any petitions I can sign, anything like more that you think I can do, or if you have videos for me to watch to educate myself further, or podcasts to listen to, or whatever the case may be, like, they're coming from that place of, you know, I
self-learning.
I don't understand, but I'm willing, like, I want to help make a change, you know? And so for the people that have reached out to me, I never took it in a, oh, someone else is reaching out to me because of, you know, it's comforting to me. It's comforting to know that there's people who are thinking about my family during this time, you know, and thinking about what we could be going through. And it's nice to know that you have that support, and you have, you know, it's that thought. It's that thought. I'm huge on, you know, those reach outs.
The gesture of I'm here for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, with just some kind words. Totally.
Absolutely.
Last thing, Emmanuel Acho, I'm not sure, he's a sports commentator. I don't have this on there, so you're good. He put up a video, and he literally called it Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man, and it's him just in a studio talking, and he aligns with you, DQ, on I don't like to say the N-word. I know people that do, and he talks about it like that, and he's like, so this is just a little bit about why some people say it, why some people don't, why white people shouldn't say it, and he just like was going on and on. He touched on a couple topics like that, but he ended it with he said the way that we all get through this, and you know, that was my big takeaway, so I shared it, but exposure, education, compassion, and empathy.
Yes.
So like those 4 points really stuck out to me. So it's like, let's expose the wrongs that are in the world. Like, if people are wrong themselves, sure, let's cancel them out and expose them. But typically it's a culture that's been built on, it's been slanted against people, so let's expose that. And let's educate people about that exposure, about that issue. Have compassion and understanding that people who are dealing with this aren't choosing to deal with it. Like how all these black men are in prison because of the private prison problem. Black men didn't decide together, hey, let's all abandon America and go in jail, and let's, like, that was never a thing. So let's have a little compassion and understanding the system is stacked against black guys, and have some compassion and understanding the trials that they've gone through for their trial, or for anything that's happened to them legally, so that you can move on and we can fix the criminal justice issues, which I'm sure you've studied plenty. That's a whole other podcast for
I know. I want to tap in on
then
that.
The last bit is having the empathy to say, you know, these people have been hurt. This is a problem that's hurting other people. Whatever the situation is, having that empathy to finish it off and to make that change, and saying it was unjust. This isn't just a matter of inequality. It's actually unjust towards others. So that's on my Twitter if anybody wants to watch that. He's says a lot of these topics that we've kind of circled around very pointedly, and he backs it up with some great history. Highly recommended the Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man series on his Twitter.
Check it out.
Yeah, that's good.
So final words from you guys, thoughts, things?
I mean, honestly, like I said, it's all about just us making a change, and it's going to come with making sure that we all stay educated around what we can do to, make that change happen. So, whether it's voting, and it's not just for the president. That's president. That's DA. That's governor of states. That's everything. And then just being there for one another. There's some people that may be hurting more than we are, or maybe in a tougher situation than we are, or more tougher situation than some of the people that have been broadcasted over social media. You don't know, because it's kind of trickled down under there somewhere, and it's not being talked about. But just reach out to all your friends, family. Just make sure everyone's okay. If they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just have that love for one another. That's the thing that's going to change all of us, and make sure everything is moving in the right direction. Because love is that's the most powerful drug that's out there. Like that once you have love and build that love around everyone, then you have no choice but to feed off positive vibes and
to care about each
other. And care about one another. And positive vibes is how I live my life. Like, I hate being negative. I hate when I feel like I have some type of negative energy inside me, because I feel like I'm not either being I'm not being enough for Alicia. I'm not being enough for Cam. I feel like the more positivity I have in my life, I inflict more positivity on other people.
Absolutely.
It's contagious.
It is. And
he's making me smile just by talking right now. That's incredible.
And with that, I can't wait to start working back with our athletes, because I want to be able to, I've always thought of myself of helping and making them understand, there's a bigger picture to life. There's more more than back tucks, more than pull ups, more than trying to get a back handspring full up in a stunt. Like, there's more to life than winning a national championship. There's more to it, and beyond this, just kind of off topic, but when I moved here, I came in not knowing how Colorado was going to be, whatever, but I read a statistic that Colorado was one of the highest rated states for suicides or something like that.
Dang.
I don't know what number it was, but I remember reading that before I came here, and I'm like, man, what can I do to help that? My thought process was, well, I work with all these athletes, and usually it's teenagers and kids that are in college, or
people in transition.
Exactly, transitioning into something bigger in life that feel like their life is not enough. My goal is to make people understand and make them feel like, look, there's so much more to you than you know. And I try to instill that in every team, every kid, every coach, whoever. I try to instill it into everyone that I work with on a daily basis. So I'm a very genuine person, I think, and I feel like people...
You are. You totally
I feel
are.
like people, they feed off of my energy, and if I'm upset or if I'm mad or whatever the case is, people feed off of that, because they know who I am and how I am daily, So I just try to keep a positive mindset and let people know that, you're awesome, and all you can do is continue to be awesome.
Just lifting each other up.
Exactly.
No matter what color you are.
Exactly.
We all need some positivity in our days.
Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
And you saying, just like, what is Colorado about and stuff when you were coming here today. We were coming back off the mountain. We did some camping last night, and going up the mountain, there's some of those walking pedestrian bridges and stuff. On them was all these people with Black Lives Matter signs.
Awesome.
So that to me was just so awesome to see, because people are driving up, and it was bridge after bridge after big signs, people waving.
Awesome.
And
That's
I was like, I knew this was happening downtown. I knew there was protests in the Springs, but I didn't think it was on that scale.
Exactly.
And I was like, I just love this place.
It's awesome.
It's just,
I
was
love
great.
it here.
We do too. And I'm excited that we get to raise our kids here. And hopefully look how much it's changed, and look how much we've grown. And I look forward to that.
Look how much our kids have grown. They're gonna come in and say, get the keys and drive off.
Yeah.
Literally.
Something that's always important to remember too, since we're wrapping it up, is to always self-educate too. You know, there's those who will reach out and guide you and educate you and won't have any issues with that. But like you guys have said, you've books and podcasts and all the things you guys have been doing to educate yourself is huge. And I'm still watching all the, like, I'm interested in all of it, you know, and I've studied criminal justice and sociology, and so I've always been in that type of, you know, I love learning, I love digging deeper on issues like this. So
Yes.
And I guess my final words is be comfortable and okay with being uncomfortable. It's huge.
I love it. I love that so much.
Yeah, I think that's something that can stick with a lot more people, and that's something I'm carrying with me.
And as two white hosts of a podcast, like, go freaking educate yourself. Like, go listen to 1619.
Watch 13th on Netflix.
Watch
That
13th.
one's huge.
That probably changed us or educated us the most. We watched that when it came out like 5 years ago, and it opened our eyes to everything around
To
us.
a big problem that is very low key.
On Netflix, the documentary about Madam C.J. Walker, I feel like as a woman was really inspiring to watch and to see where African American women have had to battle with things that I've just always had. So that was another good educational piece I would love for people to go watch.
What's that movie we watched the other day? Someone made it free.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
I know
free.
what you're talking about. I
Yes.
saw the headline. What's that movie?
Google it. We got
It
time.
was such.
Yeah, we saw it on the Apple TV.
Yes.
But I think it's all over.
Such a good movie.
Just is the first word. I can't think of the second one. Just Mercy.
Just
Just
Mercy.
Mercy, yeah.
Yes, that is what it is.
Okay.
We
It's
watched
such a
that.
good movie.
Yeah, we watched that the other day.
Such a good
So
movie.
good.
Just Mercy.
It's on.
I think on Amazon.
If you have
Yeah.
Amazon or anything
They
like that.
made it
then-
free, like
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Big distribution on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to peep that tonight. Then.
Yep.
Well,
We have
awesome.
homework.
Well, thank you guys so much for being
Yeah.
on episode 11 with us. We just, like we mentioned, felt like if we have this platform, everyone is, saying speak your mind, speak up, do something. This is where we can affect, more change. Obviously, if you've interact with Lauren and I on social media, we have been posting about it. But we wanted to do a little bit more. So thank you guys for being on
Yeah,
here.
thank you
for
for
having us.
And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing experiences that, weren't always positive in your life. I think that will go far with a lot of people in terms of educating them. So we
Yeah.
appreciate that on your behalf.
When Scott said we should do this, I was like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared I'm going to say something wrong. I don't know what to do. And Scott was like, you have a good heart. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean you're going to say
Yeah,
something
you're not gonna
wrong?
say
Like, you
anything
don't know
wrong.
anything wrong. And I'm like, okay.
You ready for this? Who live is us? Who lit is this? Who real is us? We too legit. We are M-A-R-K-T-H-R-U. Mark Thru Podcast. Listen and learn. Watch and observe. Challenging us. They got some nerve. We great. You mad? Don't hate. Get to it. Don't wait. We do not hesitate. We doing what it takes. What we do. Mark Thru.